Hey everyone, hope you're having a great Tuesday. Hi everyone, Dan Scoff here with a Facebook Live. Wanted to give you the information. By the way, did you like that little informational video? Just kind of showing you some thunderstorm facts. Music is a little intense, let's just say that, but we got a lot to talk about. Hope everybody's having a great Tuesday. The weather was amazing. In fact, Kenzie said went fishing today, didn't wear any sunscreen, now sunburned. There was a lot of sunshine, that's for sure. Maybe my daughter was able to catch some rays as well. So beautiful weather. It was on the warm side, and the wind was blowing as well. I know my wife had the convertible top down. She was loving that. And the weather was amazing if you were at Ballmarker Stadium. But we did have a little bit of wind. So let's talk about what happens tomorrow. About this time tomorrow, we'll be seeing thunderstorms in our area. Let's take a look. By the way, I'm solo, as you can see. It's just me, myself, and I in the weather lab. But let's start off with our day 2 severe weather risk. So a couple things to note is that the Weather Service, the Storm Prediction Center, did increase the severe weather threat for the River Valley to a level 2, a slight. And the farther north you go, that risk starts to drop off. Large hail is going to be the primary threat, in my opinion. And there may not be a whole lot of storms. It might just be 1 or 2 storms. But either way, we're going to see some thunderstorm activity with this energy that's swinging in. I think that models that don't have storms are off to lunch. They're out to lunch or out to dinner, because I think storms are definitely going to be a good possibility. Now, as far as the coverage of storms, it'll be limited, but these will be basically the potential for some hail, and I'll show you why. If we look at the individual threats from these storms, you'll notice that, which was a surprise to me when I looked at the earlier outlook that was updated at around 11:30, or should I say 12:30 this afternoon. You'll see that that's over 2 inches with the hatched area. Significant means large hail over 2 inches possible, and that does include the river valley. Damaging winds, I'll take the camera off the screen. You can see that that also is a possibility and that slight risk. And there's also a non-zero tornado threat. So I'll take you through the computer models. Hydra, we'll look at Friday. Friday's system looks to be moving east pretty quickly. And I'll tell you why I'm thinking maybe not a whole lot of storms on Friday. So here's a look at the future track radar. You'll see that cloud cover will definitely be on the increase throughout the day tomorrow, especially during the second half of our day. So let me show you this as we go back in time just a little bit. So during the morning, we should have a clear sky, and it should be really nice and mild. I mean, we're looking at lows right around, low to mid 50s, and that's it, way above freezing. Tomorrow afternoon, those winds start to pick up. I don't think we're going to meet windy criteria on weather rate. It'll be close, but for Northwest Arkansas, I don't think we have that. So you didn't really miss much, by the way, Jeremy. We're just hopping on here. Here's a look at the thunderstorm risk as we move into our Wednesday evening. Now, you'll see some storms starting to pop up right around 8 o'clock in the evening. I think this is the most likely time for thunderstorms. There's just too much energy for the models to not break out any storms. So there's a look at the energy that's moving in. And you'll see some storms that start to pop up at about 9 o'clock. I think lightning is a certainty. We will have instability, but not necessarily a whole lot of surface-based instability. And not only that, it's kind of interesting. The dew points aren't going to be super high because we're so dry right now. In fact, we're so dry that there was a fire danger that happened today, a red flag fire warning that was in Southwest Missouri. Now, as we move into time, Wednesday night and into Thursday morning, you can see that risk starting to shift eastward. So it's a pretty quick hitting system. It's definitely got a lot of spin with it. And then notice by Thursday night, the HRRR is showing a lot of cloud cover. We'll talk about the total lunar eclipse coming up in just a bit. But as far as those storm chances are concerned, let me give you a better idea on the timing. So we are looking at storms for a small window, and this is going to be basically between about 6 o'clock until about maybe 1 o'clock in the morning. So I know I don't like the clouds, the chance for clouds overnight. I think the cloud cover is being underdone. It's just too much energy it's swinging in. Now, Charles, there's a chance that Maybe with the high clouds don't move into northwest Arkansas and they stick around in the river valley. We'll see what happens. So, oh yeah, you did see 80 degrees on Thursday. Bring on the warmth, Kenzie. Well, check this out. That's the timing of the rain. We'll show you the basically the hour by hour, and we're getting into the upper 70s, close to 80 degrees. Then as we move into our Thursday, you see the temperatures getting close to 80 degrees. So just a little storm chance on Wednesday evening, and then the storm chances will drop off as we go into our Thursday, but then Friday, and we'll talk about that system again real quick. So let me show you this here. We're going to bring up the satellite and radar. And Wednesday's system is definitely a spin in the atmosphere. You can see the rain that it's developed over Southern California, even some snow in the Rocky Mountains. You can see that north of Phoenix in Arizona. So it shows you the system. It definitely has some energy to work with. Now, this is the system for Friday. That is a lot of, let's say, alto cumulus clouds, the speckled mackerel sky, which basically signifies some cold air aloft. Cold air aloft means you got a pretty strong system. Check it out on water vapor, and you can see that energy that's moving in. I did not see the picture of the sunset that you sent in from Marble. Sorry, I've been kind of busy, man. I've had a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, no, Jeremy, he's just saying, bro, it just started. Not like, you never know what type of tone that is, but he was just saying, bro, it hasn't even started yet, man. We just began. So you didn't miss anything, Jeremy. Just to let you know, we're talking about these two systems, but that is an intense system. But here's the deal. I don't think we're going to have a lot of storms. And I'll show you the reason why. On Friday, that is. Friday, I think the storms are going to be developing to the east. The models have been pretty insistent on this. So check this out. Yeah, sorry, Brendan. As you know, I've had some pretty difficult family life circumstances, and so I didn't even know that you sent that in. It's tough to keep up on Facebook, and especially with the devastating news about my dad that I got on the 4th. I didn't get a chance to see it. Maybe I did, I don't remember, but I apologize. If you do send me things, I love to see them, but man, it's been a tough go of it over the last several weeks. So here's a look at the dew points, though. As you can see, we're really dry. Those dew points are only in the lower 30s, and because of that dry air, in fact, check this out. You'll see here that there's a lot of fire danger that's off to the southwest. That is in West Texas, Southwest Texas. And if we look at the dew point, look at Midland at -2. Boy, is that dry. That is some super dry air. Now, why is that important? Well, you got to have moisture in order to have storms. And so it does start working its way northward, but we've got dew points only in the mid to upper 50s. So that chance of rain for Wednesday night, as we're going to go through, it's there. And I think we do see rain. As far as widespread storm activity, not sold on that. You can see the dew points climbing up into the upper 50s. That's sufficient for severe weather. We'll show you that severe weather risk again, but that's dew points in the upper 50s. Yeah, that's definitely some stuff going on. But another thing to note is look at that dry air. So the dry line is basically setting up almost in eastern Oklahoma. And there's a chance that that dry line on Friday will mix east of us. Now, that doesn't happen very often, but it does with strong storm systems like the one we have on Friday. So if that dry line mixes east of us, guess what? That means fire danger for us might be a bigger concern than the storm threat. So we do have multiple impacts that will be possible with this system on Friday. But there's a look at the dry air. And then look at the dry line. It's going even farther east on Thursday. That's just the way this system has evolved. And now you can see how that dry line might back up a little bit in retrograde, but not much. So this means that that storm threat will be moving eastward pretty quickly. Trevor, I don't think they're going to go high risk, at least as of this point. I think there's very uncertain on convective mode. I know a lot of people are talking about how this matches the April 27th, 2011 trough axis, but A lot of people these days compare weather events, and I think this is the greatest way to put it. You could have something that's exactly the same looking, and the outcome could be totally different. That's just the way the weather works. So even though everything looks similar and everything looks the same, and you got all these analogs and all these, well, machine learning things that are showing the storms and all this stuff, and it's just like, who knows if the outcome's going to ever be the same? There could be one little small thing that the models don't pick up on, but that's 2011, Jessica. My goodness, especially April 25th, 2011. Um, yeah, Edward, not me. I don't know what you're talking about, but he's got a comment. Why do people like to overhype the tornadoes? Because that's what drives engagement. That's what drives social media engagement, which is essentially what people long for. They strive for that. It's like a drug for them. But here's what we've got for our satellite radar. We're going to show you these two systems. We're going to go back to this, and you're going to notice there's Fridays and Wednesday system. So here is the water vapor to the vorticity. Vorticity, that is the amount of spin in the atmosphere. This is a pretty impressive system. There's no doubt about that. As it moves east Wednesday night and into Thursday morning, you will notice that this energy swings in. Now, I can tell you this firsthand. If the models don't break out any storms with this amount of energy, I would be dumbfounded. There's way too much upper level support for nothing to happen. So there's going to be storms, and the models aren't going to get all this energy perfect. And on top of that, the system is mostly offshore, as you see right here. And look at where it's coming from. Baja Blast. That's right. Baja Blast energy is coming in. And so we call it a Baja Blast because the models really struggle with this type of pattern. So there's that system. Now, Friday's system is a beast. It's a strong system. That's not overhyped. What is uncertain is where storms will develop, because by Friday, 5 o'clock, don't forget, vorticity, you're seeing it on there, but remember that the actual lift is not right here. The actual lift in the atmosphere is right here. It's out ahead of it. That's where the greatest rising motion is. That rising motion will lead to thunderstorms. So if we look at those computer model forecasts, which, by the way, it looks a lot colder, notice how that risk has shifted east now. So, and then the reason for that is the trends. The trends are showing that risk shifting east, and the weather predictions or Storm Prediction Center has, continued the threat. It does look significant, but there may not be a whole lot of storms. I don't think the models are handling this perfectly, and you've heard me say this multiple times. So here is the European model right around total lunar eclipse time. Charles, you can let me know if you're going out and going to try to get some total lunar eclipse video. We'll have more on that in just a bit, but cloud cover is going to be potentially an issue. Remember, this is a medium range model. It's not perfect on clouds. It's not perfect on rain or storms. Notice Friday morning, everything's pretty quiet, but then some storms try to develop. Now, if they develop on top of us, we'll see a very brief window of severe weather potential. And then you can see by Friday evening, look at that. It's almost east of our weather coverage area. So there may be a very small window of severe weather potential. We'll go back out. I do think Northeast Arkansas could be under the gun. So the system is intense. Arkansas is not immune to severe weather potential. It's just on the western edge of this system is moving east quickly. So Saturday, yes, there's moisture. Yes, there's instability. There are ingredients. But what if the convective mode is just a solid line? Yes, you'll see tornadoes. But as far as April 27th, 2011, you had not only isolated supercells, but you also had a boundary that was laid out, a vorticity boundary that was happening from the storms the previous night. So there was a lot of small scale, mesoscale factors that went into the volatility of April 27th, 2011. Aha. Very cool. I'm planning to join Explore Scientific at their event. Hope to get a little video. If you could share that video, That would be awesome. Um, yeah, so what I mean by under the gun is under the gun means you're in the threat for severe weather. But under the vorticity, that's not where the greatest lift is. The strongest rising motion is going to be basically east of that vorticity. So it's a little bit out ahead of it. A great way to show this. Um, let's see if I can show you this real fast. Okay, here we go. Yeah. So here's a great. This is now. Remember, this is going to be a lot of stuff on here, but it's got the 4 kilometer graph along with the European vorticity, just because it goes out farther. Now watch what happens when this energy swings in. You see that? Look at where the precipitation is developing. It's developing out ahead of it. I'll zoom in on that so you can. I can't zoom in on it, but you get the idea. The storm potential is ahead of the vorticity, just directly ahead of it. So when we look at Friday's system, which by the way, the models don't go out far enough, look, it barely has any storms. I think there's a couple things in play. There's a capping inversion, and there's a lot of energy. There's no doubt a lot of energy. And so the severe weather potential is there. It's just questionable as to whether it develops over us. And I think, according to the latest, with the dry line kicking east pretty quickly, I think our eastern weather coverage area will briefly be in the severe weather potential. And then I think that system is out of here. I mean, it moves out quick for us. Now, northeast Arkansas, Ryan Vaughn, Jonesboro area, I can tell why he's a little bit concerned about the system. So here's a look at the cloud cover for Friday morning. This has a little more, and that actually has quite a bit of high clouds spreading out over the area. Just because you have high clouds doesn't mean you won't see the lunar eclipse. But yeah, I'm gonna. I just saw your text, Charles. That's cool. So that's going to be the event. Don't know if you can post that as a comment on Facebook and I can just share it, Charles, because you texted me, but that doesn't help. I'll share it here afterwards. That's cool. And I'll talk more about the total lunar eclipse as well. But look at the cloud cover. There's a lot of high clouds. So maybe we'll get, it would be really cool. Maybe this is a possibility too with this type of system. Maybe we'll get a halo around the moon, a 22-degree halo with those high clouds moving in with a lunar eclipse. Now that would be cool. And that's a possibility, to get that 22-degree halo with those high clouds streaming in, as long as they're not too thick, which would signify that rain is coming. Doesn't let you post. Okay. Yeah, I'm not surprised. There's always some problems. So it doesn't let you copy and paste a link, huh? But let me put this on there. Join the Explore Scientific event and then hope to get a little video and then head east. So Charles was at the Storm Spotter training class too. I'll tell you more about some other Storm Spotter trainings. But anyways, cloud cover could be an issue, but maybe we get a 22-degree halo around the moon that's being eclipsed. And we'll talk about the eclipse time right after this. But look at this. This is Friday. Storms develop to our east. So they're east of our weather coverage area. Exactly. You're fine, Edward. I'm not angry. Don't worry. I know. You're fine. Don't worry. I know what you're saying. Oh, here we go. He shared it. So I don't know if you can copy or paste that link, but that is to Explore Scientific's site. You know what I could do? I could beat the system, Charles. Haha. This is what I'll do. Do me a favor. Send it on Messenger if you can. If you send me that link on Messenger, Charles, then I can share it and I can show what it is. So we'll just do that. Yeah, so the GFS and the European. You just have to tap it. Okay, cool. So we can bring that up. Maybe you can tap that. But there's the storms, and they are east of our area, and they move out pretty quick. Now, here's the problem, though. Do you see those winds? I'm telling you what, those winds are going to be crazy wicked. I mean, we're talking 30, 35 miles an hour. It's a strong system. There's going to be some strong winds with it. Yeah, send it on Messenger, Charles, in my Dan Scoff Facebook page, if you can. There it is. I see it. Okay. Here we are. Okay. So let's try this real fast. Sharing the screen. There we go. So this is the Explore Scientific post. As soon as I share this, make this full screen. So witness the blood moon. Bring your telescope to Explore Scientific starting at 10 o'clock on March 13th. And you can witness the total lunar eclipse. Is free and open to the public. So that's cool. They got a class, Witness the Blood Moon, Astro Clinic. It's the Great American Total Lunar Eclipse. Now, I will say this. Hopefully the weather cooperates. I'm still cautiously optimistic about that. But this is Explore Scientific. Go check them out in Springdale. They're awesome. Scott Roberts, a friend of mine. It's he's the owner of Explore Scientific, and he's a pretty awesome dude. But he loves to get people educated on astronomical events, about space, about astrophotography, and so some cool stuff there. All right, so that is that. Thank you so much, Charles, for sending that. Let's go back to our GFS model, show you the storms moving out. Now, here's what I wanted to show you. The winds are going to be cranking up. But before we do that, since we just talked about the total lunar eclipse, I've got some times for you. Even if you don't have a telescope, you can come out. Hopefully the cloud cover doesn't disappoint. This is what you're going to see with the total lunar eclipse. And I'll take the camera off the screen. But essentially what you're going to see is what's called at approximately a little after 10 o'clock, well, right before 11 o'clock. It's called the penumbral eclipse. Now, I'm going to tell you straight up, don't waste your time. If you're going to this event, you'll be a part of an event, but don't expect to see a lot at just before 11. You'll only see a slight partial darkening of the moon. It's called the penumbral eclipse. By the way, this is exactly what it's going to look like as it starts to get eclipsed at 12:09. So 12:09 is when you'll start to see the Earth's umbra. This is the darker shadow of the Earth cast on the moon. That's when it'll start eating away, and that time is at 12:09. So 12:09, shortly after midnight, you'll start to see the eclipse. Now, unlike a total solar eclipse, a lunar eclipse lasts a long time, and it's not exactly location dependent, except for clouds. It's not like if you're in totality. Totality is a much larger area, and we are in totality. And totality is going to start at 1:26 a.m. Of course, this is all Central Daylight Time, and that's when the moon will appear to be blood red. Now, you'll see a little white on the edges, which is still that sunlight. And then maximum eclipse will occur just about a half hour later at 1:58 a.m. At 1:58 a.m., that's where the Earth is blocking out the moon the most. So this is the Earth's umbra. This is where you'll get that reddish hue. They call it a blood moon because the moon appears to be red. And the reason it appears to be red, I'll show you. I actually got a cool graphic for that. Total eclipse is going to end at 2:31. So you don't have to be out there the whole time unless you're Charles and you're taking a time lapse of it, which is awesome. He's so cool. I bet you they have some of their telescopes that will follow too. It's easier to follow a eclipsed moon than an eclipsed sun, because when the eclipsed sun happened, telescopes didn't know where to go. But then the partial eclipse will continue all the way until about 3:47 a.m. And then the penumbral eclipse ends at 5 a.m. So that is the full thing. If I'm rating a lunar eclipse, to be honest with you, I'm thinking a lunar eclipse is about a, I don't know, 8 or 9 out of, yeah, I'll say 7 or 8 out of 10. It's not super amazing. However, a total lunar eclipse is the most amazing thing you'll ever see in your life. It's the most awesome astronomical event ever. And the next one that we're going to have in our area is 2045. So back to the eclipse to break down all those times and to show you exactly what it's going to look like again. This is the total lunar eclipse. Come on. No, maybe not. Let's see here. That's weird. Did it just die on me? There we go. So here's the times to summarize. 1209 when the partial eclipse. No, it's not 1209. It's 1257. I got to change that. Partial eclipse begins. Hold on. 1057. Yeah, so that's not correct. Let me change that real quick. But that's not the partial eclipse. See, it's kind of a little bit confusing because the partial eclipse is essentially where you're in the Earth's umbra, and so that's 1209 that starts. So we'll go back. Yeah, partial eclipse does start at 1209. I got myself confused there. And then that's what the moon is going to appear like. Let me bring this back up here real quick. Sorry about that. Some graphics technical difficulties. But here's the breakdown of the times. Partial eclipse begins at 1209. Total eclipse, that's what the moon will look like at 126. It becomes maximum eclipse at 158. 231 is when the total eclipse ends. And 347 is when the partial eclipse ends. And then after that, everything's pretty much that. March 3rd, 2026 will be your next total lunar eclipse. So you got about a little less than a year. Now, here's something kind of cool. Why do total lunar eclipses why does the moon look red? Well, I've got a great graphic for this, and I think it explains it perfectly well. Think of a sunset all the way around the Earth with the sun shining through the longest part of the Earth's atmosphere. And then you'll notice here sunset colors around the Earth's atmosphere, what a total lunar eclipse would look like from the moon. So if you're standing on the moon, you would see a sunset around the Earth, which I think would be kind of cool. So it'd be kind of like a total solar eclipse, only probably not as spectacular, but still cool looking. I wish someone was on the moon during a total lunar eclipse to see what it would look like. Got an interesting comment on here. Are you concerned about cuts from NOAA NWS? And I'm guessing you and the models will have less information. Yeah, there's a lot of misinformation, but there are cuts that are taking place. I don't understand all of it because I'm not in NOAA. I know there's a lot of things that are said that aren't true. I mean, look at social media, look at Facebook, and you can just go down the rabbit hole with that. I don't think anybody should be cut, but you don't know the whole story either. There is some spending that's not necessarily needed. I'm not talking about NOAA, but some other things that are being spent on, and so I'm not going to get political. I don't like obviously anything that would be cut that would be affecting our forecast or any type of information. I think the National Weather Service people are amazing. NOAA, very important part. I think all of what they do is so important. I mean, how do you get the tornado warnings from them? They're the ones that issue them. We're just the ones that broadcast it and let people know about it. So weather is a very important part of people's lives. It affects everybody every day of their life. I don't know all the information, all the insider information. I know, there's always misinformation on social media, whether it would be about storms, about severe weather, about, the most insane cataclysmic tornado outbreak ever, and then it doesn't produce like expected, and then there's no repercussions to people what they said. So I'll be the first to admit that, if we're forecasting a big event, and it doesn't happen, I want to understand why. But here's a look at the instability for Friday. Notice it's just non-existent. So I think this system, if we didn't have Wednesday's system coming through and clearing out the moisture for Thursday, kind of like what we had last week. You might remember we had a system Sunday, and then on Tuesday we didn't have as much instability. So there's it goes really fast, but look at how this is trending more and more to the east. So the latest European model doesn't even really have a whole lot of instability. So these storms might be way east of us. So I think 7 o'clock. I think there will be some storms in the area. I'm supposed to give a conference, a talk on stormwater runoff, and that's going to be at the Springdale Convention Center. But I might have to do my job here as I cover storms. So we'll take a look here. I do think the energy coming in has a little more um, timing to work with to bring storms into our area. So here is the NAM 3 kilometer. And here's a look at the storm chances. Now, this doesn't really break out a whole lot, as you can see. Now, I don't believe this because you saw the amount of energy, and I think the models are still struggling because the system is basically off the coast. So there's not a lot of let's just say agreement in the models. Now, here's a future track. Let's let this load. Look at those winds cranking up. And you see, one storm that pops up. So it might not be a whole lot, but it could be one storm, and that could bring some large hail potential as it will have plenty of energy to work with. And then it kind of falls apart. Now, that doesn't show a whole lot of storms. I think personally that's underdone. Underdone. And then you can see more storms. One thing you'll notice is look at the spin in the atmosphere. Sometimes that spin can lead to a rotating storm that can produce a tornado with a local boundary or a local spin in the atmosphere that can lead to more storms. So that'll be something to watch. Speaking of rope tornado, Edward, I'll show you one of my favorite tornadoes. Um, so yeah, there you go. I'm going to bring this up real quick because now we have the ability to, which is kind of cool. We can present and I can share an image. So check this out. This was Thedford, Nebraska. What an amazing tornado. So this was the Thedford, Nebraska, June 4th, 1999 tornado. You talk about a rope tornado. How amazing is that? That looks pretty awesome. We'll take a look at some instability on some of the severe weather parameters here in just a bit. But we were in between two tornadoes at the same time, Edward. And that was a rope tornado to the max. Pretty awesome. What do you mean by this, Larry? I believe they need to let you guys make the calls on storms, not someone that is 3 hours away. Well, yeah, but they have the radar and they're looking at it really closely. So the Weather Service, man, and the storm spotter training that they're doing. Yeah, that's a cool tornado, though. I'll bring that up full. Look at that bad boy. Man, what a chase. We were with the Doppler on wheels, too. You can see our names down at the bottom. Michael Armstrong, myself. This storm was a cyclic tornadic supercell. It was beautiful. So there was a lot going on there. Okay, now let's take a look at some parameters, and then I think I'm going to get close to shut it down. That was close to nighttime. It was close to nighttime, Edward, but it was while the sun was still up. And so, yeah. All right. So let's check this out. Cape, thunderstorm fuel. Put this into motion. Here's the fuel for tomorrow. Definitely in place, and even a little more than what we have on Friday. So there's the Cape, and then it kind of nudges east. But I think that Cape is returning more for us on Wednesday than it does on Friday, to be honest with you. Look at how it gets shoved to the east and then basically starts to die out. We can look at some stuff here. Let's look at the what's called supercell composite. Okay, we're looking at the wide view. You can see how it's kind of focused more to the south. So there will be a severe weather risk, and there will be some pretty impressive ingredients in place for areas in southwest Arkansas. Let's look at the SIG Tor here. Now, we kind of dropped the scale for this reason because we don't want to make it look like there's a tornado everywhere. Now, this is our first time to adjust with this color scale. So there may be a chance that we include the lower end of the spectrum because maybe it's too much cutoff. But we don't want to make it look like there's going to be severe weather everywhere. So we wanted to filter this out and give it its due. There's that significant tornado parameter in northeast Texas. That's where I think the wind shear and everything will line up a little bit more. Let's look at the supercell composite for the GFS and see there it is in southeast Oklahoma, southwest Arkansas. Then it kind of disappears. Let's see what happens on Friday. So Friday's system has a lot more energy to swing in, but it could be linear. It could just go up in a solid line. I'll take this off the screen. And now look at that. That's pretty impressive right there for supercell index. That is why people are saying that Saturday is going to be pretty impressive. That's a lot. And boy, you can really see the color scales on that. That's why people are going nuts. But remember, this is just a model. Let's look at the so that's the SCP, the significant supercell composite index. Let's go to, and this is why we're looking at it the wide view. And I'm going to bring all these up real quick. And while I'm doing that, I was going to show the storm spotter training classes that are ahead because I mentioned I was going to do that. So let's look at severe parameters once that loads. I wonder where you heard that. It's possible. There's going to be the potential for some hail. But gorilla hail? Oh, that might be one storm that does it. Let's look at the European 90 hours. So this only goes out 90 hours. Let's see what it does on Wednesday. So it's going to take a little while to load. There's the energy helicity index. So you can see a little bit of energy that pops up over us. This is the amount of spin and energy with the storm. So that's what the energy helicity index is. Basically fuel and spin. Let's look at the, all right. So let's look at the supercell composite. Let's look at the European and see if it has as high for Saturday to the southeast. So let me show you this. Here's first of all Wednesday. Got to wait till it's loading. So there's the supercell composite. Yeah, see, you can tell when it doesn't animate, you know it's not there yet. So that just cuts everything out of northwest Arkansas. And then here's Friday. Look at the system. Really ramps up, but boy, it doesn't do it until Friday evening, and it's way east of us. I'm thinking Friday is a no-show here. I really do. And then here is Saturday. So yeah, Charles Peak's definitely going to be going down to Mississippi, Alabama. That's a lot of energy right there. And that's a lot of fuel. So we could actually look at the trough axis and you can see it's pretty impressive. There's no doubt some pretty impressive jet stream energy. Let me show you here. Where are you? Jet stream. There we go. All right, so here is the trough axis with this system. Let's let this load. Don't know why it's so far out. I guess it's far out because of that system right there. So hold on. Bring it over. All right, so there's the big dip in the jet stream. There's the energy that swings in tomorrow, a little short wave. Sometimes it's the small stuff that can make the big stuff happen. Here's a look at the energy swinging in for Thursday night, Friday. It all remains to the east. And I just, yeah, I don't think that happens. Now look at that. That's what we call a long wave trough. Long wave trough. Then there's the next system, by the way. Well, because our winds go from west to east in this area, essentially, the way that the atmospheric circulations are. So that's why they come from the west. Not always, but that's why they come from the west. I don't even know when the Ole Miss game is, but if it's Friday night, except for the wind, I don't think we see a whole lot of rain. So, yeah. All right, back to our spotter training. I want to show you that real fast. Oh, let's see. So these are the other spotter trainings that are happening here pretty soon. The next one is Fort Smith, Sebastian County, EOC. That is a Tuesday, March 18th, in person spotter training. That's the last one in our weather coverage area for our counties. Tulsa is doing a lot more. Let's say you can't make it anywhere in person. You can also take it virtually at 6:30 on Wednesday, March 26th, Tuesday, April 1st, and Monday, April 7th. So there's the virtual ones. And by the way, if you attended the storm spotter training, I heard that Ed Calanese used some of my video from the Decatur tornado from the helicopter, which was great. I sent it to him and basically wanted him to use it whenever he could. So huge thanks to Ed for doing that. Let's see here. I think that about wraps it up. So I'm going to sum it up here with the weather headlines, and then we're going to shut this down. And I got to get to bed. I'm pretty tired. Yep, exactly. So Charles sums it up right there. Storm chasers on social media make dollar signs from views and clicks. As long as people keep sharing it and liking it, it just isn't going to stop. In fact, it's going to get worse. It's going to spread like COVID. It already is, and it will continue to be, and it just will keep getting worse. And really, honestly, I'll be 100% honest. It's kind of taking the fun out of social media a little bit. I love talking to you guys. I love teaching you about weather and severe weather, but there's so much misinformation out there, and it just gets frustrating, to be honest with you, because you hear about someone saying, "Well, what about the end of March?" And I know that there's the long range cycle, the heady pattern, there's stuff like that that can tell you about systems coming in. But the fact that you're like saying exactly what's going to happen 18 days out, come on, man. Come on. That's not right. So here's a fast moving system Wednesday evening. Severe storm chances in the river valley. That's going to be mainly for tomorrow. And still in northwest Arkansas, we got some storm chances. Another system comes in on Friday, but that system will probably bring more fire danger for us compared to severe weather and thunderstorms, because I think it just remains east. But we haven't had high resolution model data yet. So maybe that dry line backs up a little more. That can happen. Cooler but dry weekend all the way through Tuesday. That's what we're expecting. If we look at our severe weather potential, I'll show you the latest risk. And you can see that risk is basically, it's just basically in the river valley for the most part. There it is. So there's a look at the severe weather risk. 1 or 2 storms are possible. Isolated large hail, gusty winds, and a non-zero tornado threat. And that's in the river valley. But if you haven't seen, and I thought this was actually quite surprising, the hail risk, it's pretty substantial. And that's because there's going to be instability and there's going to be enough energy where there's going to be some rising motion. And the hail is a possibility. But in order to have hail, you got to have a storm. Some models aren't even breaking out storms. Hey, thank you so much, man. You have a good one as well. Appreciate you. So, all right, that wraps it up. So, storm chances for Wednesday and Friday, and then after that, we get a quiet weekend. So, that's what we'll be watching. Tomorrow evening is our next chance of severe weather. Now, as always, if it starts going severe, we'll let you know about it. Make sure you download our Weather Authority app. Also, now is a great time to do Weather Call Next Gen. If you haven't done that, it's a great way to get signed up for severe weather and weather alerts. So I'll show you here real quick. This is a service for just about $1 a month, which is not much. I mean, think about a coffee that you have or something like that. But this is Weather Call Next Gen. It's really awesome. It's a service that we provide with KNWA, and Weather Call Next Gen will basically give you crucial warning information only if you're in the Polygon. The Polygon is the storm-based warning. There's not many services that provide that. That includes the weather radio. That is a county-based wide system, at least as of now. Weather Call will also provide up-to-the-minute phone calls, text, emails to let you know about the storm. It also gives you an all clear. They also give you real-time lightning strikes, tell you if lightning is nearby, and it calls landline phones too. So there's a lot of advantages to Weather Call and Weather Call Next Gen. Very, very helpful. In fact, you've got this QR code right here that you can scan, and it'll give you an example of a weather call demo. It'll call your line and kind of give you an idea of what to expect. So let's try this out. I haven't tried this in a while. So we scan this. It gives you a QR code. I'll enter in my number here. Okay, and we hit accept. Confirm phone. All right. And so we'll see when that call comes out. There it is. A weather call mobile alert. See that? And then test, test, test. So if I answer this, hello?
This is Weather Call Next Gen. A confirmed observed tornado is on the ground now, causing damage in your area. Get to a safe place now, in a storm shelter or in a sturdy building.
Now this is a test. This is a test. Kind of shows you what the test is.
Large rooms and exterior walls.
That's what it would be.
Stay away from windows. Repeating, a confirmed observed tornado.
That's just a test. So that kind of gives you an idea of what you can expect. So someone would call and tell you that there is a confirmed observed tornado. Unlike the other things, when confirmed tornado or observed tornado happens, that's what you would see. So you can scan that. Again, that'll just give you a test. All right. Seems like SPC has been issuing more risk several days out, and by the time the storm arrives, ends up pretty far off from the outlook. Several days they're out issued. You know, honestly, Brandon, I have seen that trend, and I wonder if it's driven by emotions. Now, I know that, SPC is doing its best, but man, all these people that are on social media, all these people that are working up the crowds, working up it's like pumping them up. There's a possibility that, that's a chance that maybe they're getting emotionally forecasting too. But there's a lot of systems that just don't happen. So they're looking at the atmospheric conditions, and the atmospheric conditions of what's expected to happen doesn't always make it what's happening. But I'll be perfectly honest. sometimes when we do these alert days, which we only do if it's very much necessary, and I've only done a handful in my entire time here. Um, I just want to let you know that we do that only when it's absolutely necessary. We've done that on October 21st, 2019. We did it on May 26th, 2024. I did an alert day on April 29th, 2017, which was a flood that killed 8 people in our weather coverage area. Now, I have done an alert day where it didn't pan out, but mostly the track record is about 80, 85%. If I do an alert day, it's a pretty serious storm. We're not doing an alert day for Wednesday. Even though there could be impacts, it's going to be limited impacts in localized areas. And so, yeah, I mean, really, honestly, every day the weather is going to impact you, whether it would be nice, like sunshine and getting burned without sunscreen. So, anyways, I'm not going to talk bad about other people. I'm above that. I'm going to keep it there. Let's just leave it at that. They can do what they want. I'm doing my thing. It doesn't get a lot of attention on social media, but you know what? Life's too short to worry about that. And not only that, but family is the most important anything. All the likes, all the posts, all the engagement. When you're on your deathbed, does that really matter? When you put that on your tombstone, how many likes or engagement you had? No, it's about family. And that's what you need. Family is the most important. So, um, when my dad passed, it was family in the room, not social media, not the gadgets, not the things that he, didn't take with him. It has absolutely no importance when it comes down to it. So that's what it is. Now I'm still doing this and I'm still telling you about the storm just to keep you educated and let you be informed. And I know there's multiple sources of information. You can get your information elsewhere. I get that. But if you're watching me, thank you so much and I appreciate you. So we'll leave it at that. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, which is only like, a few more minutes. I got to open up my Bible app so I can get my streak on that. So, anyways, take care, guys. Scan that QR code, get that weather call next gen. It's on our website, knwa.com. And you can go to click the weather tab and you'll see weather call next gen and you can get signed up for that. All right. Thanks, guys. Take care. God bless. Have a good one.